Today we're doing section 3.3, Properties of Logs, day 2. So today we're going to do the opposite of what we did the other day, and that is condensing instead of expanding. So real quick, I want to just recall these three formulas. So the other day we were given problems that look like the left side, and I asked you to make them look like the right side. So now we're going to do vice versa. So the key things to look for are plus signs, minus signs, and coefficients out front. When we see those three things, we're able to apply these rules and condense these equations. So for our first example, we'll start off real basic. So again, you're always looking at the operation between the logs, and the goal is to condense it and write the problem with one log. So here I have the sum, and the sum condenses with the product. So I write one log with a base of 4, and I write it as the product of these two values. Now because this is numbers, we can go further, and this will become log base 4 of 64. And I know 4 to the third power is 64, so this would completely simplify to be 3. Now when we have problems that don't have numbers in it, then you can't go all the way. So for our next one, again, we're looking at the operation between the two logs, and that would be subtraction. So that means I'm piecing it back together with the quotient. So I have one log, and because it's a quotient, I know I'm going to have a fraction. And we talked about the other day that the order matters, so whatever's first is on top, whatever's on the bottom is our denominator. And that's as far as we go. So now we're going to kind of get more involved. So the first things you should notice is that we have coefficients. So we're going to send those back to being exponents. So this is log x to the 1/2. This is plus log of x minus 1 to the 4th power. And I could rewrite this as log square root of x plus log x minus 1 to the 4th power. And because it's to the 4th power, I don't expect you to multiply it out. And now, excuse me, the next thing we're looking at is the plus sign. So that condenses with multiplication. So I write one log, and this becomes the product of the square root of x times x minus 1 to the 4th power. And that's as far as we would go for that one. So again, for our next one, we're going to start by sending the exponent back to being an exponent. Notice it's natural log, so natural log and log, all the rules still apply. And now we look at the operation between the two natural logs, and that is subtraction. So that means we piece it together with the quotient rule. So in the numerator, I have the quantity of x plus 7 cubed. In the denominator, we have x. And that's our final answer. So for the next one, again, we have a lot going on here. So we're going to send our exponents back to being exponents. Then we'll have log base b of 6 squared and log base b of y to the 1/2. And I can clean this up a little bit further before we go. Instead of saying 6 to the 2nd power, I'm going to say minus log base b of 36. And here I'll say minus log base b of square root of y. So notice that the second two terms both have a negative in common. So if I factor that negative out, it becomes log base b of 36 plus log base b of the square root of y. So essentially what this means is here represents the fact that there's a quotient, and this plus sign here represents the fact that there is a product, but they are both happening in the bottom of the fraction. So when I piece this together, in my numerator I have x to the 4th, in the denominator I have 36 square root of y. Or you could say y to the 1/2, I'd accept either. So this would be an example of a more challenging one. We'll definitely have to do some practice of this tomorrow, and we'll start out with real basic ones, and then we'll work up our difficulty level.